Imagine you're sitting in a high-stakes meeting or a quiet dinner with someone you've just started to trust. Suddenly, they smile, a specific, subtle movement of the lips, and your stomach drops. A cold wave of certainty washes over you. You don't know why, but you suddenly know this person is hiding something. If you want to learn how to tell the difference between real signals and emotional noise, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us keep these system reports running. You call it intuition. You tell yourself your gut is protecting you from a hidden threat. But what if that signal isn't a warning about the person in front of you? What if it's just an echo? A chemical residue from a humiliation, a betrayal, or a failure that happened years ago and never fully dissipated? The problem isn't that you're feeling something intense. The problem is that you're convinced the feeling has meaning. We treat emotions like high-definition sensors delivering accurate, real-time data about the world around us. When anxiety spikes, we don't examine our internal state. We scan the room, searching for something to blame it on. We act as if emotions come with timestamps and clear return addresses. They don't. Your brain is a narrative system that cannot tolerate unexplained states. A physical sensation without a cause feels like static. So if you're carrying the unresolved echo of a past experience, your mind will eventually look for the nearest explanation in your present life and weld the two together. This creates a subtle but dangerous reality model error. You begin to make decisions, pulling away from people, doubting opportunities, abandoning paths, not because of what's happening now, but because of what still hasn't settled inside you. You feel a tightness in your chest while someone is speaking. Instead of considering fatigue, stress, or leftover activation from earlier in the day, your brain delivers a verdict. This person is untrustworthy. You aren't reading the person in front of you. You're rereading a corrupted file from your own history and projecting it onto their face. The signal feels immediate and convincing, but it isn't coming from the present. It's noise from a storm that passed long ago. Most people experience this emotional echo without ever noticing it. You meet someone new and within minutes feel an urge to withdraw. You call it bad energy. But if you were to audit that reaction carefully, you might find it was triggered by something trivial, a tone of voice, a familiar gesture, even a scent that happens to resemble someone who once caused you harm. Because the emotion feels vivid now, you assume it must be about now. This is how cycles repeat. We aren't reacting to current reality. We're reacting to older emotional imprints dressed up as present information. We move through the world projecting internal states outward, mistaking memory for perception. The stakes are higher than they appear. When you trust these ghost signals blindly, you stop engaging with the real world and start navigating a private archive of unresolved emotional data. Genuine connection feels dangerous because it's unfamiliar, while harmful patterns feel safe because they're known. You are navigating the 21st century with a compass pulled off course by magnets you buried years ago. The question isn't whether your gut is speaking. The question is, who is actually speaking when it does? The observer of the present or the echo of a past version of you that never fully powered down? You are caught in a structural failure of the mind that most people never notice. An emotional state can outlive the situation that created it, and when it does, your brain struggles to account for it. This failure has a name. It's called affective persistence, a condition where emotional states remain active long after the situation that created them has ended. There is no clear button for feelings. When you experience stress, fear, shame, or excitement, your body releases chemicals designed to prepare you for action. But those chemicals don't vanish the moment the situation ends. They fade gradually. They linger. Long after the external trigger is gone, the internal state can still be active. Here is the core system error. Your mind assumes that if a feeling is present now, its cause must also be present now. Your brain is a meaning-making system that cannot tolerate unexplained internal states. A sensation without an explanation feels like static. So when an emotional echo remains, left over from an earlier interaction, a stressful morning, or an unresolved experience, your mind goes looking for something in the current environment to attach it to. It doesn't look inward, it looks outward. It scans the room, the conversation, the decision in front of you, and it labels one of those external elements as the source of the feeling, even when the connection is false. This is why intuition can feel so convincing. Not because it's accurate, but because your brain has already done the work of building a story that makes the sensation feel justified. The explanation arrives instantly, fully formed, and emotionally coherent. Once that happens, perception itself changes. A lingering emotion doesn't just influence your thoughts, it alters what you see. Facial expressions appear suspicious. Neutral pauses feel loaded. Ordinary uncertainty feels like danger. The emotion becomes the lens through which reality is filtered. At that point, you are no longer observing the situation. You are interpreting it through a state that doesn't belong to it. One of the most dangerous aspects of this system is that emotions carry no timestamp. A fear generated years ago can feel identical to one generated seconds ago. Without a clear marker of origin, your mind cannot easily tell the difference between a valid warning and an outdated signal. So we treat internal sensations as if they were reliable reports about the external world, when in reality, they are often just feedback from a system that hasn't finished cooling down from a previous fire. We are navigating a modern environment with a radar that still echoes storms that have already passed. To apply a patch for this glitch, you have to stop treating your feelings as authority and start treating them as data that requires verification. This isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about decoupling sensation from interpretation. The first step is the Provenance Check. Whenever you experience a surge of intuition, that sudden certainty, distrust, or urgency, you pause the narrative and ask a simple diagnostic question. What is the timestamp on this signal? If you can't identify a clear, immediate trigger in the present, something that was actually said or done, you have to assume the emotion is residual. Until proven otherwise, treat it like a ghost. Without current evidence, the feeling is not information, it's background noise. The second step is the delay attribution rule. Your mind wants to label the sensation instantly to close the loop. You have to refuse. Learn to sit with an unlabeled state. Tell yourself, I am experiencing a surge of activation, and I am temporarily withholding its meaning. This creates a buffer. You can feel suspicion without acting suspiciously. You can feel fear without retreating. You acknowledge the state of the system without confusing it for the state of the world. If you don't apply this patch, you remain reactive, constantly responding to emotional leftovers rather than current conditions. You end up solving problems that no longer exist, making decisions based on signals that don't belong to the moment. But when you master decoupling, perception becomes cleaner. You begin to recognize how many vibes are just internal echoes. You gain the ability to stay calm inside a perceived storm because you understand that the disturbance is internal, not environmental. You move from being a passenger to being the operator. This override requires vigilance. The system will try to revert whenever you're tired, hungry, or overloaded. It will insist that this time the feeling is different. Check the timestamp anyway. Audit the signal. Don't let an outdated echo decide how you act in the present. If this report helped you recalibrate your sensors, synchronize with the network, Subscribe for future system logs and hit the like button to help others detect their own emotional echoes. If you've ever trusted a gut feeling that turned out to be residue, report it in the comments. Stay awake. The system is always running.